And today what we're going over is notes on monomials times polynomials. We're going to be using some of the rules that we went over for all of our exponents. This one specifically today, we're focusing on the product rule, which again, I'll remind you that product rule. But first, let's read through. Let me get my pen ready. So here, for the monomial times a polynomial, to multiply a monomial and a polynomial, simply distribute the monomial to the polynomial. And for exponents, you recall the product rule. And what's the product rule? If you have x to the power of a times x to the power of b, all you do is just add your exponents, x to the power of a plus b. You're just adding the exponents, okay? So let's go ahead and practice our example number 1. Here, we have this one here, x times x plus 4, so we can distribute. So now we have x times x. Remember, you just add the exponents. There's an invisible 1, so now it's x to the power of 2. You just add the exponents. And then our next one, x times 4. Instead of saying x times 4, the better way to write your number times a variable is to put the number first and then the variable x, and it's positive, so you put a plus sign in between there. Let me fix that. So that entire thing, when you distribute it out, it comes out to x squared plus 4x. That would be your final answer for that first example. Let's try it again with example number 2. It's a little bit more difficult here. So we have the coefficient of 5. All of this is going to be distributed throughout 3 different times here. So when you do this, let's first multiply the coefficients, the numbers. 5 times 3 is 15. And then we've got our variable m. Remember the product rule. You just add the exponents. 3 plus 2 is 5. So that's my new exponent for m. And then let's go on to our next jump. Let me erase this so we can see it a little bit better here. Going on to our next jump, this 5m to the power of 3 times negative m. So multiply the coefficients, the numbers. 5 times invisible negative 1 is negative 5. And then we've got our variable m. Add the exponents. 3 plus invisible 1 is 4. And then going on to our last one, our last set of distributing, all of this times negative 7. Multiply the numbers, the coefficients. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. And then do your variable m to the power of 3 times. There's no variable there, so just rewrite m to the power of 3. And then it's all finished, assuming that it's in standard form. Remember, that's alphabetical order, highest exponent first, then you're all good, and it's all finished. And for both of those examples, they both, when you go through it and solve it, they're both in standard form. So then they're all finished, okay? So this should be a fairly simple topic today, just applying the skills that we learned earlier last week and the week before with our exponents. Let's go ahead and work on some more of these. I'm not going to do all of them because of time. I want to make sure I can cover every single topic. And if you want more practice, send me a message. We can work on it together. Or you can stay on at the end and then we can do a couple more questions together. Okay. So our next set of examples, you try, directions, find each product. Final answers must be in standard form. Remember, it's alphabetical order. I'm going to write A, B, C order and highest exponent first. It's an EXP for exponent. So that's just a little reminder on what standard form is. ABC order, highest exponent first. Okay, so I'm going to go through number 1. This is very similar to our first example. Distribute k times k, product rule, add the exponents. So the invisible 1, I'm going to zoom in so we can see better. Invisible 1 plus invisible 1 is now k to the power of 2. And then my next jump, my next one, let me erase this so we can see it better here. How can I write k times this negative 9? How would I write that for k times negative 9? Look at the example 1 that's right above it. How would I write the k times negative 9? What would I write here? Instead of saying k times negative 9, the example above it, instead of doing this, we wrote the plus 4x. Instead of doing this, we're going to write minus 9 k. Perfect. Awesome. I see someone's typing there. But then that would be, let me erase this here. That would be your final answer for number 1. It's in standard form, alphabetical order. There's only one variable, k, and the highest exponent first. So it's in standard form. Okay. Next one, I'm going to go down, skipping a couple of these because a lot of them, they're just the same thing. It's just practicing over and over and over again. I don't think we need to go through a million questions where it's the same type of thing, just different numbers and variables, because then it's just kind of, it's annoying. So let's go through and let's just make sure you understand it. Okay, so the next one, number 5. We have this negative 4g squared times the 2g and times that positive 7. So let's go ahead and do our first jump. This negative 4g squared times 2g. First, let's multiply the coefficients, the numbers. Negative 4 times 2. So then I get a negative 8. And then we'll look at our variables. We got g, g. So here's my g. What's my new exponent for g? Remember, we're doing the product rule. What's my new exponent for g? So add the exponent. Someone said 3, and perfect, because we've got 2 plus invisible 1 is 3. So that's my new exponent for g. I'm going to erase this and going on to our next jump. This times this positive 7. Negative 4 times positive 7. Multiply your numbers first. Negative 4 times positive 7. And then we get negative 28. And then we've got the variable g squared times nothing else over here. So just rewrite your g squared right next to it. And then it's all finished. Number 5 is all done because it's in standard form. Highest exponent first. And then everything following through after that. So that's good. Any questions so far? If you guys have questions, always just type them in the chat, or if you need me to slow down, if I'm going too fast or something, just let me know in the chat. But I can only assume if you're not typing in a question in there, then I can only assume you don't have any questions and you guys are totally understanding it. Again, we're not doing all of these. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. Next one we'll do is number 9. So for number 9, we don't have any coefficients. There's no number in front of it, but we're still going to follow those same steps. All of this here is going to get distributed first. So let's do our first jump. Let's write my first variable p. So here's the p. What's my new exponent for p? Remember, we're doing the product rule. So you add the exponents. 2 plus 5. We're only looking at the exponents next to p. So now my new exponent for p is 7. And then going on to our next variable, q. So my new exponent for q, product rule, add the exponents. 3 plus 2 is 5. So this first jump is done. Let's go ahead and erase it so you can see my screen better. Now we're going to do our second jump. This times this one here. This is positive times a negative. So we've got a minus sign. Positive times a negative is negative. And then let's go through our variables. P. What's my new exponent for P? Tell me, what's my new exponent for P? Someone said 3. Perfect, because 2 plus invisible 1 is 3. And then we've got the variable Q. Adding the exponents, 3 plus invisible 1 is 4. Okay, let's check to make sure it's in standard form. Alphabetical order, so the first letter is P, so that's good. And then highest exponent first, 7, and then a 3, so that means it's in highest exponent first. Alphabetical order, it is in standard form. And then that would be your final answer for number 9. Let's keep on going. Number 13. Number 13. So our first jump, all of this times our first term here, all of this one. So first, let's look at the coefficients, the numbers. Negative 7 times 9. Negative 7 times 9. And then our first thing that we're writing for the negative 7 times 9, just go ahead and multiply. So we get a negative 63. And then my next variable is c. Here's the variable c. All we do is add the exponents. 3 plus 2 is 5. And then my last variable, d. Add the exponents. 2 plus 2 is 4. There's nothing else in that first term, so that one's all finished. Going on to our next jump, I'm going to erase all of this here. So we can just focus on one thing at a time. I'm erasing just so we can see it better. So now this times our second term. So first, let's multiply the coefficients. Negative 7 times negative 4. So then we get a positive 28. Going through my variables. C, add the exponents. 3 plus invisible 1 is 4. And then my next one, D. 2 plus 5 is 7. Let's make sure it's in alphabetical order. So our first variable C, then D, C, then D, and then highest exponent first, 5, 4. That means it's good to go in standard form, alphabetical order, highest exponent first. That would be your final answer for number 13. Okay. Let's keep on going. Our next set of directions here, it says distribute, then simplify the remaining expression. Final answers must be in standard form. So again, we're still pretty much going through and solving these very similarly, but you might just have a little extra step at the end. Okay, so for distributing, when we want to get rid of the parentheses right here, you're going to take whatever's in front of it and distribute to everything inside the parentheses. I am not going to do it to the plus 7x because it is outside of the parentheses. So that's just a little distribution rule. You should know that from before, but just a reminder, you do not distribute to that positive 7x. That is outside of the parentheses, so you just leave that one alone for right now. So first, let's distribute this negative 2x times the 3x. Let's do that one first. Multiplying the numbers, negative 2 times positive 3. So we get negative 6. And then we've got the product rule, add your exponents. So now it's an x squared because invisible 1 plus invisible 1 is 2. And then my next one, my next jump, because that one's all finished. All of this times this negative 4. So do your coefficients, the numbers, negative 2 times negative 4. Do that first. So we get a positive 8. And then your variable x. There's no other x's here, so just copy this one down so it's just the x right next to it. Okay, so we did all of our distributing. We still haven't touched this plus 7x, so just bring it down. Plus 7x. And then we're going to need to simplify. Can we combine anything here? Is there anything that we can combine? Anything in the same family? I'm going to give you a hint. The answer is yes. So just tell me, what should I combine? What and what can I put together? What's in the same family? I see someone's typing. $8x and $7x. Perfect. These are in the same family. They both have the variable of just x. So let's combine those together. Positive 8x plus 7x. 8 plus 7 is 15. Then just bring down that variable x. It's positive. And then bring down everything else in front. Negative 6x squared. And then plus 15x. There's nothing else to combine. And it's in standard form, alphabetical order, highest exponent first. So that means this now is your final answer. The negative 6x squared plus 15x, that would be your final answer for number 15. Okay, how do you guys feel about this topic so far from a 1 to 5? 1 is, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. What is the product rule? And 5 is like, I feel like I can teach this to the class. Tell me how you guys feel really quickly in the chat from 1 to 5. 1 is like, you have no confidence. I don't like this at all. And 5 is, I feel like I could teach this to the class. So give me 1 to 5 so I can see really quickly how you guys feel. Got a couple of answers there. I don't know how many people I see a thumbs up. So I think when you guys do the thumbs up, I can't see exactly who did it, or maybe it just goes over your picture. I'm not too sure, but I did see someone did a thumbs up. So I can only assume that's good. Okay, let's keep on going. We've got 2 pages here. So going on to our next page. Next one we'll do, number 19. And like I said, I'm skipping around because it's just a lot of the same problems. It's just more practice, different variables, different numbers. So we don't need to do all of these all together. But if you want to go and practice them, you can, because you can check your answers on Schoology. And then also you can work with me on this. I can work you through the entire thing and explain it more if you want as well. The next one we'll do is number 19. So in order to get rid of these parentheses, we're going to take what's in front, this 2y, and distribute this first. So first we have 2y times 6x. Okay, let's do our numbers, the coefficients. 2 times 6, so we get 12. And then we've got a y and an x. Okay, so it's a variable times another variable. They're different ones, so we can't add the exponents together since they're different variables. So we're just going to put them next to each other side by side. But remember, standard form, it's got to go in alphabetical order. So first is the x, then the y. Okay, you guys should know your alphabet. That's one of your first things, but make sure you just put that in alphabetical order. Okay, so that first jump is done. Let's go on to our next jump, this 2y times all of this one here. So first let's do our coefficients. 2 times -4. 2 times -4. So then we get a -8. And then our variables, we've got a variable y here, variable x, and a variable y. Okay, alphabetical order. Next one we need to put down as our variable x. There's no other x's, so I'm just going to pretty much copy down this x squared. Okay, then we're going on to our variable y. We've got a y here and a y here. So add those exponents. Invisible 1 plus invisible 1 is 2. So now it's a y squared, y to the power of 2. Okay, that second jump, it's all finished. Our distribution is all done. We did all of it. So let's go through and copy down the rest, this and this, because we haven't touched it yet. So plus 13x squared y squared minus 6. We just copied it all down. Okay, so next we need to start combining some things together. And we can combine stuff. And I know there's lots of variables and exponents here, so let's just focus on only the numbers, the coefficients. What am I going to combine here to simplify it a little bit better? And you can only write down the coefficients, the number in front. Don't worry about the variables and the exponents because I know it's weird typing it out. So just look at the coefficients, the number in front. What should I combine? What should I put together? Because I do need to simplify and combine something. I see someone said 12 minus 8 plus 13. Does anyone else agree, disagree? You can write the same thing or write something different. Okay, so let's see what we can combine here. This family, it's xy. The variables are just xy. This family here, it's x squared, y squared. This family is x squared, y squared. This family, there's no last name, there's no variables. In order to combine them, the stuff that I underlined, the last name or the variables with the exponents, it needs to match perfectly. It needs to be exactly the same. Okay, so looking at this one and this one, these two are the only ones that are in the same exact family. They've got the same variables, same exponents, the x squared, y squared. Where this one here, it's just xy. There's no squared for both of those variables. So that one we cannot combine with it. So let's first do our -8 and then plus 13. And -8 plus 13, we get +5. So here's my 5, and then I just copy down everything else after it, the x squared, y squared. Okay, And then also think about, we're putting this in standard form, okay? So standard form, alphabetical order, highest exponent first. Okay, so I already wrote this one down. Depending on how you wrote it down on your paper where your spacing is, we still need to put this down next to it and this. So let's figure out where I can put this 12xy. Should I put it in front of the 5x squared y squared, or should I put it behind? Where should I put the 12xy? In front of my 5x squared y squared, or should I put it behind? Should I put it in circle number 1 or circle number 2? Where should I put the 12xy? In the circle number 1 or circle number 2? And we're going to be putting a plus here or a plus here. Where should I put it? I see some people typing. And remember, we're putting it in standard form. So standard form, highest exponent first and alphabetical order. Okay, so someone said in front. Let's check and see. So if I put it in front, let me write it down in front. The 12xy. Okay, so that would technically be a plus because it's positive. Okay, let's check the exponent for the x. It's an invisible 1. And then our exponent here, it's a 2. Okay, remember it's highest exponent first. So the first term should be this one here, the 5x squared y squared. That should be written first. So that means our 12xy needs to go after. It should go behind in that circle number 2. So let's write that one next. The plus 12xy. And let's double check, make sure we did it correct. Highest exponent of 2. Exponent is invisible 1. 2 is a bigger number than 1. So yep, now we got it correct. It's good to go. So we combined, oops, sorry, scooting over here. We just combined, okay, so we combined these together. We just wrote this one down. And then the very last thing we need to write down is that minus 6. There's nothing else to combine it with. There's no variables, no exponents. So that is for sure going to be the very last thing of our whole entire polynomial. That minus 6 will be the very last thing. Okay, so now it's in standard form, alphabetical order, highest exponent first. So then that number 19, what I just put in my box, that would be your final answer for number 19, the 5x squared y squared plus 12x minus 6. Okay, let's keep on going. Number 22. And remember, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I am here. I have my chat in front of me. I can see it. I can slow it down if you need me to, or explain something again or in a different way. Let's keep going. Number 22. So some of you might see this and you're like, oh my gosh, it's really long. I don't want to deal with it. Well, guess what? We're going to do it. Okay, we're still going to follow the same steps. We need to get rid of the first set of parentheses. So I'm going to take the 4x squared and distribute this first. So the 4x squared times 2x squared. Let's first multiply the coefficients, the numbers. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, then we've got the variable x. Here's my x. And we're doing the product rule because it's x squared times x squared. So we add the exponents. 2 plus 2 is 4. So that first jump's done. Going on to our next one. 4x squared times positive x. Multiply the coefficients, the numbers. 4 times invisible 1 is positive 4. And then our variables. Here's my variable x. Exponent of 2 plus invisible 1 is 3. So that jump is done. Going on to our last one. 4x squared times negative 5. Make sure you look at the sign in front. Multiply the coefficients, the numbers. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. And then we've got our variable x. There's no other variables over here, so just copy down the x squared. Okay, so the first set of distributions done. Let's focus on our negative x and distribute here. Okay, only to the stuff inside the parentheses. So next we have a negative x times x to the power of 3. Negative invisible 1 times invisible positive 1. Negative times positive is negative. 1 times 1 is 1. But remember, the 1 is invisible, so I'm not going to write down the 1. It is invisible. We know it's there. Now we've got our variable x. Exponent of 1. Here, let me erase some of this stuff so we can see better. Exponent of invisible 1 plus 3 is 4. That was our first jump. going on to our second jump. Coefficients, the numbers. -1 times +5. Negative times positive is negative. 1 times 5 is 5. And then we've got our variables x. Exponent of 1 plus 2 is 3. So that jump is done. And then our last jump, -1x times -3. -1 times -3 is +3. And then x times nothing else is just x. So that jump is done. And then we have this plus 17. Just bring it down. Plus 17. Okay, so yes, that's a lot of stuff we've got written down there. Let's start combining some things. We have highest exponent is 4. Is there anything else I can combine that 8x to the power of 4? What else can I combine it with? What coefficient can I combine it with if that helps? So I'm going to combine this 8x to the power of 4 with this other one that has x to the power of 4. Okay, so this and this. These two are going to get combined. They're in the same family, x to the power of 4, x to the power of 4. So we have 8x minus 1x, or sorry, x to the power of 4, x to the power of 4. So 8 minus 1 is 7, and then x to the power of 4. So those, we combined them. Next, let's go on to our next highest exponent. X to the power of 3. X to the power of 3. These are going to get combined. It's a positive 4 and a negative 5. What is 4 minus 5? 4 minus 5 is negative 1. And then you have your x to the power of 3. But remember, 1 is invisible. You don't need to write down that invisible 1. So just erase it. We know it's there in our head. We're just not writing it down. So we put these together. My next highest exponent is power of 2. Both of these, we cannot combine with it. So I'm just going to copy down that minus 20x to the power of 2. And next we have our plus 3x. There's nothing else to combine it with. Let me cross that one off. There's nothing else to combine it with, so let's just copy that down. Plus 3x. And that last one, plus 17. There's nothing else to combine it with, so I just write plus 17. And notice as I was combining them, I crossed them off to know that I combined them already. You can do it that way, or you can draw your lines connecting them together here. But as you can see, it could get a little bit messy sometimes when you're doing that. So it might help if you have a method of circling and then crossing off so you can kind of see them stand out and jump out at you. Cross them off as you use them. Okay, so then number 22, it's in standard form, highest exponent first, alphabetical order, even though we only have the variable x. That would be your final answer for number 22. Okay. Remember, if you have questions, type them in the chat. Next one we'll do here is number 24. Number 24. So number 24, we have these sharp turn object things, kind of like parentheses, but they're called brackets. So let's clean up everything inside the brackets first. So let's go ahead and work on that first, inside the brackets. Okay, and then inside the brackets, we have something that we need to distribute. This negative 5 times the 3ab and times the negative 2b squared. So let's do that first. So first we have negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. And then there's no variables here, so just copy down a, b. There's our first jump. Our next jump. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. There's no variables next to the negative 5, so just copy down the b squared. Okay, I'm going to bring down this to a squared. Copy that down. Bring down the rest of the problem for b, everything else outside of it, 29ab squared. Okay, and then from there, you can see inside the brackets, there's nothing else to combine. We've got a squared, ab, b squared. They're all in a different family, different variables, different exponents, so we cannot combine those. So let's take this 4b. And like I said, the brackets are just like parentheses. In order to get rid of the brackets, we need to take this 4b and distribute. So I'm going to multiply through all of these and distribute. So our first jump, 4b times 2a squared. Multiply your numbers. 4 times 2 is 8. And then we've got b times a squared. Remember, it's alphabetical order. So first is the a squared and then the b. So this one's all done. Going on to our next jump. 4b times negative 15ab. So multiply your numbers. 4 times negative 15 is negative 60. And then we've got our variables. We have a variable b and there's an ab. Put it in alphabetical order. So first is the a. There's no other a, so I'm just copying down exactly this a here. No exponents. Then our next variable is b. Product rule. Add the exponents. Invisible 1 plus invisible 1 is 2. So now b has an exponent of 2. And then our last jump. Let me erase some of this. This 4b times positive 10b squared. Multiply the numbers, the coefficients. 4 times 10 is positive 40. And then b times b squared. Here's my variable b. Add the exponents. Invisible 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay. Now copy this down. Plus 29ab squared. Okay, so we did all of our distributing. There's no more parentheses, no more brackets. Now let's check and see. Can we combine anything? Can we combine anything here? So we've got a squared b, ab squared, b to the power of 3, and ab squared. You can see these two, ab squared, these can be combined, so let's combine those. Negative 60 plus 29, just looking at our coefficients. Negative 60 plus 29, tell me what do you get? What is negative 60 plus 29? So when you do negative 60 plus 29, you should get negative 31, and then just copy down the ab squared. Okay, so those are written down. Now we need to put this down somewhere, and this is going to go somewhere. We're doing alphabetical order, highest exponent first. Okay, so we can see this plus 40b to the power of 3. It only has the variable b. Okay, so alphabetical order, that's definitely going to go after the negative 31ab squared because this has the variable a, and then this plus 40b to the power of 3. There's no variable a, so that's 100% going to go after it because alphabetical order. Don't even worry about exponents, alphabetical order. Okay, so we wrote that one down. That means our last one, this 8a squared b, variable a, power of 2, is going to go in front of this variable a, power of 1. So here's your 8a squared b in front of that other term. So then it is in standard form. All of this here, standard form, alphabetical order, and highest exponent first. Okay, a to the power of 2, a to the power of 1. There's no variable a here, so then you go on to the next variable, b to the power of 3. Okay, so it's in alphabetical order, highest exponent first. That's what makes it in standard form. Okay, I know we're going through a lot. We got one more question here together. So stay with me. I know it's a lot, lots of stuff going on. That's why I'm not going through every single question because that's the same thing, same process. So it is hard to see on here on my screen. Let me write that down so you can see better. So number 26. And 25, that's geometric application. So this is, most of you guys are going to be in geometry next year. So this is where you can start to see how you can apply things into other classes as well. So we're going to do number 26. It says find the area of the shaded region as a simplified expression. Okay, so first let's think of the equation for area. Area equals length times width. Okay, and I'm gonna write this down here. This is 5. Oh, you can't even see that. Let me get a different color. Maybe a bolder pen so you guys can see it there. So this one is 5x plus 3, 5x plus 3, and this one is 2x. That is the box inside. Yep, and you can see the rest. 8x minus 1, 6x. Perfect. Okay. So they're asking us to find the area of the shaded region. So in order to find the shaded region, we need to find the area of the outside, this times this, and then minus area of the inside, this times this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that first. The area of the outside, length times width, or you can even switch it on, width times length, it's the same thing. Area of the outside, this times this. I'm going to put some brackets in here to help us stay organized. We've got our 6x times this whole thing here, the 8x minus 1. So times that entire thing. So I have parentheses. Oops, wrong number. 8x minus 1. Okay, so that's our first box, the outside area. Now let's get the inside area. We've got the 2x times this 5x plus 3. So first is the 2x times that whole thing, 5x minus 3. Okay, so then all you gotta do is just simplify. Let's go ahead and do our first set of distributing. I'm gonna zoom in so we can see better. Zooming in. So our 6x times here, distribute. 6x times 8x. 6 times 8 is 48. X times x, add the exponents, so it's now a power of 2. And then our 6x times negative 1. Multiply your numbers. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And then just bring down that variable x. Okay, so this is simplified. Bring down the minus sign. And then now let's distribute here. This 2x times 5x. 2 times 5 is 10. Then you've got your x. Add the exponents. Invisible 1 plus invisible 1 is 2. And then our next jump. 2x times negative 3. Multiply your numbers. 2 times, is that a negative 3? It's a positive 3. Sorry, it's a positive 3. I wrote it down wrong. Positive 3. So sorry. 2 times 3 is positive 6. And then you got your variable x there. Okay, so this is what we did, I think it was Thursday, Friday, or maybe it was just Friday last week with adding and subtracting your polynomials. Okay, so now let's see here. Standard form, highest exponent first. This minus this, since these can be combined, the 48x squared minus the 10x squared. So just do your numbers, the coefficients. 48 minus 10 is 38, and then you've got your x squared. So those are combined. And then our next one, negative 6x minus positive 6x. So let's write that down. Negative 6x minus 6x. They're the same signs. Negative, negative. Same signs. Add and keep. Add them together. Keep the negative signs. Then it's a negative 12x. Okay? And then you can see we can't combine anymore. This is an x squared. That's just an x. And its highest exponent first. So exponent of 2, exponent of 1. That means it is in standard form. That would be your area of the shaded region. Pretty much all of this here. It does not include this white box there. It's only the shaded region. This would be your answer for number 26, the area inside the shaded region, the 38x squared minus 12x. Okay, so I know that was a lot. Thank you for staying with me, guys, and answering some of my questions there. I'm going to zoom out so we can see it a little bit better. So going back to page 1, I did not do all of these, but if you wanted to do more practice, you can go back and work on a couple more of these. It shows all of the steps in the answer key on Schoology, so you can check your work. Same thing on page 2. I didn't do all of them, but if you wanted more practice before tomorrow's assignment, you can actually check the steps on Schoology and check your work on Schoology if you need more help on this. Or you can send me a message here, ask me questions here, or send me a private message and we can work on this together. Okay, so if you are all finished, you have no questions for me, you can go ahead and log out. And then I will meet with you guys again tomorrow at 9 o'clock for the assignment on this. But if you have questions, stay here and I will work with you guys, okay?